So today is the 20th of August, 2011. It was a Saturday today, and just back from a long day of traveling all over the city, especially some really far places today. I probably did my most distance that I've done on the bike of any of the other days I've already had so far. So I'm feeling pretty tired physically from all that travel. But anyways, I'm going to tell you about my day. And as I've been doing with the other days, I took my camera with me and I filmed all the points of interest that I saw during the day. And I'm going to tell you what I did today, and at the same time I'm going to show you the clips that I filmed while I was out and about. So my day started off fairly late. I didn't set an alarm or anything. The day before had been really long as well and really tiring, got a lot of sun. I just wanted to sleep. And I let myself sleep in, and I didn't get up until around 10 a.m. or something, and maybe a little bit later than 10 a.m., maybe 10:30. But after that, so I figured I better get some breakfast into me before I start the day. So to do a quick breakfast, I decided I'd try out the restaurant, which is underneath this hotel. So it was really close, so I could just go there and eat, and then come back here and get my stuff and then leave. And it was all right. The service was a little bit slower than expected, and it took me quite a while to get things ready myself. And I wasn't really back from eating breakfast until about 11:30, so I wasn't really on the road until like 11:45 or so. So kind of a slow start to the day, but that's fine because I mean, I'm on vacation, so I've got to sleep in some days so I can enjoy this vacation rather than being tired all the time. Anyway, so after having a waffle and orange juice at the restaurant downstairs, I got all my stuff ready and I started heading uptown. My destinations for today, the furthest destination I wanted to see was the Bronx. And I wanted to get up to the Bronx, and I also wanted to get up to the very northern tip of Manhattan Island, right as far north as you go. So I did that by I wanted to travel along the East River and then take a pedestrian bridge over to this island that's over there, which I'll tell you about later. So to get to I looked on my map, and I could see that, my bicycle map, I could see that there was a bike path that goes along the East River, which looked exactly the same on the map on the east side as the one on the west side. I've traveled on the one on the west side, the one that follows the Hudson River, many times, and really had good experience with that. So I decided I'd try the one on the East River. Unfortunately, that one doesn't start right down at the lower part of Manhattan. It doesn't start until about 59th Street. So I needed to I had to go north-south as far as 59th Street. So I used 8th Avenue to do that, and my bike map showed that 8th Avenue had bike lanes in it. And I did have bike lanes, and they were pretty good. 8th Avenue is a pretty busy street, so being on bike lanes was useful. So I rode pretty much all the way up to 59th Street. I stopped a few places along the way that I saw just some points of interest. I went past Madison Square Gardens, which is a stadium where sports are played, and it's a very round sort of a stadium, just like a cylinder kind of shape, although it's called Madison Square Gardens, but I guess the land that it's built on is in a square. And so Madison Square Gardens was actually built on top of the train station, Penn Station. When Penn Station was first built, it was this big, magnificent architectural masterpiece of a station with huge, high ceilings, and it really looked nice. And unfortunately, it was torn down in the 40s or 50s or maybe earlier to build this Madison Square Gardens, and they figured, I guess, that they didn't really need all of those high ceilings or anything just to get people into the city. But I mean, that decision has been criticized a lot because seeing that magnificent station was supposedly really impressive, a really good welcoming sign for somebody that was seeing New York for the first time. And when people took trains a lot, many people would be traveling to New York by train. So, anyways, across the street from that, across 8th Avenue, there's also this really big postal building, like the United States Post Office. So it must be one of their big offices for this area for the Post Service. In that area, I also went and looked at a hotel that's called the Chealsea Star. I just looked at the hotel from the outside, but the only significance that that hotel had with me was that that's where I was originally considering staying during my trip here. My original plan for getting to New York City was to take the train, but when Amtrak told me that I wasn't allowed to bring a bike with me on the train, on a train trip, I switched to Greyhound, and by that point I saw that the Chealsea Star Hotel didn't even have any availability, not for the kind of rooms that I was looking for. Basically, the Chealsea Star was really similar to this hotel, the Jane Hotel, in that it had single rooms that you could rent. It was just a room and a bed, and then you shared a bathroom, and they can do that quite reasonably. I don't think their rooms were quite as tiny as the ones here, but it had the advantage of being so close to Penn Station, and it seemed like it was a good place to stay. But again, I by the time I went to book for them, they only had like double rooms available, or rooms with bathrooms, or larger rooms with one bed, and it cost more per day, and it wasn't significantly more per day. But when you when you're staying here for 8 or 9 days, it really adds up quickly. So anyways, I continued on up 8th Avenue, and when I got to 59th Street, I turned and I went along 59th Street. And 59th Street is a pretty neat street. Right when you get to 59th Street from 8th Avenue, you're right at the bottom of Central Park, because the 59th Street is the bottom border of Central Park. So that was pretty neat, seeing Central Park from the bottom. I haven't gone into Central Park yet. That's planned for another day. I've been saving that one until near the end. What I did see from 59th Street was that all the way lined up along that bottom border of 59th Street, where the Central Park was, there was tons and tons of horses and carriages, handsome cabs that people could pay to get into and to travel around Central Park. So that was neat to see so many horses and carriages all together in one place. And as I was continuing along 59th Street, I saw this other really neat-looking glass building that you could go into. It was kind of two semicircle building parts that were put together, and is actually connected. And you could go through a little arc in the middle, and I did that, and it was neat looking inside. It was just this round glass building, which looked pretty cool. But anyways, I continued on 59th Street until I got to the East River, and right there, the 59th Street becomes the Queensboro Bridge, and the Queensboro Bridge is also known as the 59th Street Bridge, which is also a name of a Simon and Garfunkel song about feeling groovy. And anyways, the 59th Street Bridge goes across from Midtown Manhattan, or a little bit uptown Manhattan, over to Queens on the mainland, and it also goes across this little narrow strip of an island, which is called Roosevelt Island, and it's an island that looks kind of neat from the map, and that's a reason that I kind of wanted to go and see it. But that's something I'm saving for another day. I'm probably going to do that trip tomorrow. My trip for tomorrow will probably be to go to Queens. But anyway, so I could see Roosevelt Island, obviously, from the river there. And I could also see the Roosevelt Island Tramway, which is a gondola that goes up and over to get to Roosevelt Island. And I've heard that it's the only like elevated cable sort of a passenger ride thing that's anywhere in a city that's used for commuting. We use things like that a lot in like ski resorts and recreational sort of things, but this is an elevated tramway, like a cable ride that people actually use every day to get back and forth to Roosevelt Island and Manhattan, because Roosevelt Island, quite a few people live there. It's a residential area mostly, I think. Anyway, so I could see the cable ride from my spot on the East River, and you had to get to that bike path. You actually have to go over the FDR expressway, the highway that runs along the East River, and so that was a little bit of a nuisance. You had to find a bridge that would take me over, but I did it eventually, and then I got over, and I started going down that path, and it wasn't quite the same as the path that's on the West River, on the Hudson River. It wasn't a bike path as they say, but it really was like a shared pathway that you share with pedestrians. Whereas the other side, on the Hudson River side, you have a dedicated bike path and a dedicated walking path, and the only people you have to share the bike path with is rollerbladers. So I was a little bit disappointed with that, but that was okay. It still was a nice scenic trail along the East River, which let me see across to the other side. Although it wasn't a great pathway because, well, it wasn't great for me right now because a large section of it was under construction. So I had to, at one point, I went along and I realized it was a dead end and I had to turn back, and I had to go up and over the FDR expressway again, get on back onto the street, continue, and then go back up and over again just to get over to the other side and continue on that pathway. So that was a bit of a nuisance, but anyways, in the end it was fine. So anyways, I continued along that pathway, and it took me up to a pedestrian bridge, which took me across the East River.